Hi students, welcome back. In our last video, we have discussed about what is meant by solution, what are components of solution, properties of solutions, and we have discussed about solubility and concentration of solution. And we have seen formulas how to calculate concentration of a solution, and we have solved one numerical problem in that. In this video, you are going to learn about solutions and types of solutions. We have saturated and unsaturated solutions. We are going to see the difference between saturated and unsaturated, and we are going to see types of solutions. There are mainly three types of solutions: true solution, suspension solution, and colloidal solution. We are going to learn about these three types of solutions. This is Arjun and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In our last lecture, we have discussed about concentration of solution by using a formula. They are going to ask question by means of mass by mass concentration or volume by volume concentration. If it is mass by mass, we need to use this formula: mass of solute by mass of solution into 100. If in case of volume, volume of solute by volume of solution into 100. These are the two formulas we need to use to calculate concentration of solution. Okay, let us try to understand what are types of solutions. Here you can observe, you can find two definitions: saturated solution and unsaturated solution. What is the real meaning of saturated and real meaning of unsaturated? Let us going to learn now. Before starting that, let us take one small example and then let's come back to this. Consider we have 100 ml of water, and this water has a capacity to dissolve, let us consider 40 grams of salt. So 100 ml of water has a capacity to dissolve total amount of, 40 grams of salt in that. Now if you add exactly 40 grams of salt in 100 ml of water, that salt will be completely mixed in that water and no residues are formed, no sediments are formed. This will be completely mixed in 100 ml. Such type of solutions are known as saturated solutions. Now, what is unsaturated? You see the definition: a solution in which more quantity of solute can be dissolved. More quantity can be dissolved in the sense what? So, we are taking 100 ml of water again. Now, instead of 40, we are taking 30 grams of salt. Now 30 grams of salt is added to 100 ml of water. This salt will be completely dissolved in that water, and extra 10 grams also you can add it. So if there is any possibility of adding some solute to the solvent, such type of solutions known as unsaturated solution. So if exact amount of solute is added to solvent, that is known as saturated. There will be no gaps and no extra content can be added. Now while coming to unsaturated, less than the exact amount. Less than the exact amount if you are adding, and if there is space again to add, more quantity of solute can be dissolved without raising its temperature. Such type of solutions are unsaturated solutions, means still you can add solute, means still it will have some capacity to dissolve. Now, apart from saturated and unsaturated, we have supersaturated solution. Let us discuss about supersaturated solution now. You see, I told you there are three types: First one, saturated solution. Second one, unsaturated solution. Third one is super saturated solution. Now, what is the difference between these three? Let us see. So again, let us take example. Let us take 100 ml of water in first case, same quantity of water in second and third cases. 100 ml of water. Now, this 100 ml of water has capacity to hold only 40 grams of salt. Let us consider. Just this is an example. Now you are adding exactly 40 grams of sugar. So total amount will be dissolved in it and there will be no extra gaps. And there is no capacity for this water. There will be no extra capacity to dissolve more content. Now this is saturated. Now it is exact. Now while coming to this one, instead of 40, if you are adding 20 grams, so what will happen? 20 grams will be dissolved in this 100 ml, and this 100 ml still it has some capacity. It has some capacity to dissolve some extra solute. I mean plus 10 grams or plus 10 grams, like that. It has some capacity to dissolve in it. That is unsaturated. It is not complete. Now here this condition is without raising its temperature. We are not raising temperature. Now this condition, we have 100 ml of water and we are mixing 60 grams of salt, or you can consider sugar. Instead of salt you can consider sugar for best example. Gulab jamun making, we can take it once again. So here 100 ml of water has capacity of 40 grams of sugar. Here we are adding 100 ml of water and we are adding only just 20 grams of sugar in it. And now we are thinking to add 60 grams of sugar in 100 ml of solution. But what is the capacity of this 100 ml? It will hold only 40 grams. But we are adding extra 20 grams. It is not having that much capacity to hold extra 20 grams of sugar. Then what we can do? We can increase its temperature. So if you increase its temperature, automatically this 100 ml can dissolve 60 grams of sugar in it. It will have that much capacity to dissolve. Such type of solutions are known as super saturated solutions. Now it is clear, I think. Saturated, if it is 100, we are adding exact 40. Unsaturated, we are adding less than the extra amount, less than the actual amount. Super saturated, we are adding extra amount, more than the exact amount. Now this is exact, this is less than exact, this is more than exact. Those are the differences between saturated, unsaturated and super saturated solutions. After this, we need to discuss about suspension solution. Actually, solutions are three types. Solutions are divided into three categories. First one, true solution. Second one, suspension solution. Number three, colloidal solution. Regarding true solution, we have discussed in our last video. In this video, we are going to discuss about suspensions and colloids. Now, first of all, what is meant by suspension? You can observe the heterogeneous mixture in which solids are dispersed in a liquid are called suspensions. So what is meant by the dispersed? Here, a suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which that solute particles do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium, throughout the solution, that particles will be suspended. It will be in that solution, but it will not dissolve in that solution. Best examples we can take: add chalk piece powder in water, you can add mud in water, sand in water, some flour in water. If you add some sand particles in water, that sand will not be dissolved in it, just it will settle at the bottom. We can see some properties of suspensions. Number one, it is a heterogeneous mixture. First of all suspension solutions are heterogeneous mixtures. Heterogeneous in the sense, solute particles will not be dissolved in solvent, just it will stay, that's it. Next, the particles of suspensions can be seen by naked eye. You can observe, right? Take one beaker, add some amount of water in it, try to add 1 spoon of sand. If you observe, that entire sand will be settled at the bottom, and you can see those sand particles just with your naked eye. No need to use magnifying glass, no need to use microscopes. Next, the particles of suspensions scatter a beam of light passing through it and make it path visible. So if you take any torch light and if you project light, that light will pass through the solution. Because of these suspension particles, that light will be scattered and you can observe the beam of light. That beam can be observed. A suspension is unstable. Here the solution is not stable, that particles always it will be in motion, that is known as unstable. Last, constituents of suspensions can be separated by process of filtration. Now take one beaker, add water and sand, or you can add water plus chalk powder. Try to stir it. If you stir it also, the chalk powder will not be dissolved in that water. Now take another beaker, arrange one funnel in it, keep on filter paper, try to transfer the solution in that. You can observe in that filter paper all chalk particles, chalk powder will be appeared. So we can separate those particles just by process of filtration. These are properties of suspension or suspension solution. Next, moving to third type, colloid or colloidal solution. Next, what is meant by colloidal solution? Solutions in which the size of particles lie in between those of true solutions and suspension solutions. Here, consider these are true solution particles, these are suspension solution particles, and colloidal solution particles will be here, which will be in between true solution and suspension solution. So it will be, particles will be greater than true solution and size will be less than suspension solution. Colloidal solutions are simply colloids. For example, milk, you can take example of smoke, starch solution, or you can take example of egg, white color, that is egg albumin, etc. Okay, what is that one? First of all, colloid solutions are heterogeneous mixtures, but it appears to be homogeneous. That is most important point you need to remember. So colloidal solutions appear to be homogeneous, but it is not homogeneous, that is heterogeneous. Best example is milk. Actually we all will think milk is homogeneous, because we can say milk, if you pour milk in a tumbler, you can find same taste, same color, same smell, same texture, etc. So you can say it is homogeneous. But you see, milk is a product which is obtained by combination of water plus fats plus proteins. Milk is combination of water, fats and proteins. Here fat. These fat particles, we know if you take water and oil, water plus ghee. If you mix water and ghee, will it mix? No, ghee will not be mixed in water, right? Same, ghees are nothing but fats, isn't it? Now, these fat particles, will it dissolve in that water? No, it will not dissolve in that water. So, milk appears to be homogeneous, but it is not homogeneous. Fat particles will not be mixed in water. It is heterogeneous mixture. And the size of particles of colloid is too small to be individually seen by naked eye. We cannot see these particles with our naked eye as suspension solutions. In suspensions, of course, we can watch, we can see that sand particles, we can see that mud particles, we can see iron fillings, or we can see chalk piece powder, etc. But in colloidal solutions, we cannot see with our naked eye. We need to use some microscope to observe those colloid particles. Next, the colloid particles are big enough to scatter beam of light. So to scatter beam of light, those particles are big. So if you pass any light through milk solution, if you pass through that starch solution, smoke, automatically you can observe that light will be scattered. We'll talk about one effect called Tyndall effect. The Tyndall effect will be related to this smoke. If you pass light through smoke, you can observe some light beam that I'll show pictures and we can understand very easily about Tyndall effect. And a colloid is quite stable. There will be no motion, no sediments, no particles, nothing. It will be quite stable, and colloid particles cannot be separated by process of filtration. Now, if you take that milk, if you filter that milk, can we separate water and fats? No, we cannot separate water and fats. Entire solution will be passed through it. That is the properties of colloidal solutions. Moving to next topic, Tyndall effect. What is meant by Tyndall effect? The scattering of light by colloidal particles. Just if colloid particles are passing through any medium, and if a light is scattered, that is known as Tyndall effect. Two examples we can see. A fine beam of light enters a room through small hole. There is a window, and consider morning times, if your mom is sweeping the floor, or if she is sweeping the hall, or you can observe from the window sunlight you can get, and all those particles will be visible in that beam of light, because in our room we have particles, and those particles and that room is colloid particles. Colloid particles. When light is passed through colloid, automatically you can observe that light will be scattered. This is known as beam of light. This is daily experience we can have. So tomorrow morning also you can observe this beam of light in your house. And best second example, when sunlight passes through the canopy of a dense forest. If it is passing through a cover of a dense forest, you can observe. So in this forest, there will be air particles, there will be water molecules. This air and water together will mix and it will become colloid. When light is passed through this colloid, you can observe the beam of light which is scattered. This is also Tyndall effect. Next, the colloid particles are not true solutions, as their particles are big enough to do the Tyndall effects, whereas particles of true solutions do not show Tyndall effect. So in last video we have learnt about true solutions, that true solutions do not allow Tyndall effect because particles are not that much big as this colloid solutions. Moving to components of colloid solutions. There are two components. First one is dispersed phase, second one dispersion medium. What is meant by dispersed phase? It is quite simple. The solute particles which are dispersed in the sense which are arranged or which are scattered, or you can say solute particles which have occupied entire space, that is called dispersed phase. And dispersed medium in the sense, this dispersed phase, I mean all those particles will be arranged, will be scattered, will occupy one space. That space is called dispersion medium. So the component in which dispersed phase is suspended. We'll see few examples such that you can have some idea. You see, there are few examples like aerosol, foam, emulsion, gel. So if you see aerosol, in that gas is the major component, I mean high in quantity. You can consider this one dispersing medium as high quantity and dispersed phase is low quantity or particles which are occupied in this one. So how aerosol is formed? For example, these are examples. Fog. To have fog, first of all, we need gas. In that gas, liquid particles are arranged. Clouds. How clouds are formed? Basically, that is gas in which liquids are occupied. Next, smoke we have observed. In that smoke, gas is the major component. In that gas, solid particles will occupy some space in the gas. And you know shaving cream, foam example. In that shaving cream, major component is liquid. In that liquid, gas is added to it. And milk or face cream, in liquid is added. Milk of magnesia we'll get in your 10th class chapter 2, that is acids, bases and salts. In that, milk of magnesia is used as an antacid. In 7th class you have learnt, I think in 8th class, acid, bases and salts. Acid plus base gives rise to salt plus water, and this base is nothing but antacid. And milk of magnesia, in that liquid is the major component, we are adding solid to it to become milk of magnesia. Same, rubber, sponge. So you know sponge, right? Sponge, basically it is solid and gas is trapped inside the solid. Cheese, butter. In that butter actually it is solid, liquids are arranged in it, like that. We need to take dispersed phase and dispersed medium. Dispersed medium is nothing but it is place, and dispersed phase which is occupied in that space. So those are the topics in this video, and in our next video we are going to learn about physical change and chemical change, which already we have seen in our earlier classes. But in our next video we are going to learn complete information, we are going to get complete information regarding physical changes and chemical changes. We'll learn by using a lot of examples. Guys, if this video is informative, please like it, share it to your friends, subscribe it and comment it, and we'll meet in our next video. Bye. Have a nice day, guys.